Hi, I'm Dr. Vanderslice. The next in our series of the essential aspects of fiction writing. The one I want to talk about now is important to many writers, and that is the idea of a full-length fiction. And what I mean by full length is a fictional story that aspires deliberately and consciously to be not a short story. Short stories are wonderful. I love writing short stories, and they have their own kind of magic and their own kind of rhythm. But I feel like a lot of fiction writers, perhaps even the vast majority of fiction writers, always dream someday of writing a book. Going beyond the shorter form and writing longer forms. And the two most familiar terms when you're talking about longer form fictions are the novella and the novel. Typically, novella, the word count cutoff that people use is 50K. Let's say 10K to 50K, 15K to 50K. Somewhere in there, a story that is long enough that it's kind of going beyond the gestures that a short story can make and trying to tell a wider history, perhaps show a wider group of people, follow many different protagonists. It just isn't, you don't need as many pages as you do for a novel. So if you tell such a story in about 50K or under it, that would count as a novella or a short novel, some people prefer to say. But traditional novels, more than 50K. And honestly, novels can be as long as a writer can get away with. Some well-established writers, they write a lot of words, and those words do very well for them. Writers who are first breaking into publishing, you maybe not want to go beyond like the 100K mark, because that may be, an editor may have worried about taking a chance on that. But so these are the two terms we use when we talk about longer fiction. Again, short story, I feel like these two forms are effectively doing the same thing, trying to do the same thing in fiction. Tell a broadly based story, a story involving lots of characters, a story that perhaps has many different years, time periods evoked. Short stories, pretty much, they got one job to do, and they need to go out and do it. Do it efficiently and well, which is a hard combination, and that's why short stories are not magical when they're done right. Longer form fiction writing, it's really not so. There's always magic in fiction writing. There's always magic in creativity, but in longer form fiction, it's also a matter of endurance. And I am all about, if you're going to aspire to write a novel and tell yourself that's what I want to do, then you need to realize it's not like sitting down and writing a story and then you're done. You can write a story in a single sitting. You can write a story, if it's a really short story, you could write it in a half an hour. Novels will take a commitment of time and patience with yourself. And I feel like patience with yourself and with your idea is what writers often struggle with. Many writers, after working on a project for a certain amount of time, they start to lose confidence because they start to see, well, it's a nice idea. When I actually try to flesh out the idea, all these issues come up, and I'm not sure it's really that good of an idea anyway, and they lose heart and they lose hope. What you need to realize, every writer goes through that. Even the really famous writers, and you've read their books on every bookstore, or you've read their books, and you think, wow, how could this person do it? I can tell you, the person did it by working through those doubts, by not giving up when faced with such doubts. You put aside the doubt. This is the thing about writing. You have to have like two different minds. You got to have a mind that's open to inspiration and ideas and real excitement, and that motivates you on the page. You also have to have the part of you that says, I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm not going to get wrapped up in mundane issues or worries or edits for myself. I'm going to put aside that critical voice and just write. And believe me, if you're working on longer form fiction, there will be a time when you will be able to go back and look over what you accomplished and apply all your critical apparatus to it. But right now, you just want to get words down. And if you do that, you are a successful person. The number of people that have started novels and never finished are legion. I can't tell you how many people have said, I always wanted to write a novel and I started a few, but it's never could manage to finish. Well, that's because you have to realize writing a novel or any long work of fiction is an endurance test, and you're going to lose heart. And the way to finish is just to keep pushing on and trust that you can make it better in the long run. If you can. We will talk about revising at a later episode, but just get it down and realize that is an accomplishment in and of itself. A couple things you need to guard against when you're working on longer fictions. One, which I've kind of hinted at already, I borrowed this term from a writer named Heather Sellers, is the idea of the sexy next book. The idea that comes along when you're in the middle part of your current project and you're thinking, I really think actually this is not a very good idea. I have another idea that's better, and that one is going to be brilliant. And Heather Sellers calls that the sexy next book. And it's not because that book's any better, it's because that's just inevitably what happens to a writer or any artist when you're involved in a difficult project. So I would say just push the sexy next book out the window. Like, don't even go there. Heather Sellers had a very interesting theory, which is, okay, if this book won't leave you alone, this other book, go on a date with it. Like, spend one day working on the sexy next book, write out all sorts of plot ideas, maybe write a few scenes, really think about it, live with it just for one day, and then go back to your current book project. And if that other book calls you that much, okay, maybe. But usually what happens, you just get that out of your system and you realize, I might as well keep working on the book. A couple of other things. I believe strongly in making sure you don't reread and start thinking about revising too early in the process. In fact, I would advise that you wait until you're done the first draft before you even go back and change a word. And that's very difficult for writers to do. Do not begin fixing all sorts of errors, inconsistencies, plot holes that you're kind of starting to be aware of. You leave notes to yourself, create a file, put notes on your manuscript. I'm going to get to this eventually, and then get to that eventually, but not right away. Make sure you get the draft down, because if you don't get the draft down, you may never get the draft down. And you want to keep pushing on. And the other really crucial thing to say is congratulate yourself when you finish the draft. It's a huge accomplishment to finish the draft of the longer work. I mean, honestly, it's a huge accomplishment. Celebrate it. Tell the world. There's a writer named Chris Beatty. He's all about bragging. He likes to give himself the motivation. Think how I can brag about my novel draft when I'm done with it. So he's written a very funny book called No Plot, No Problem, which is all about motivations to keep working. Hey, bragging rights is one of them. So that's the main lesson here. It's an endurance test. Keep going. We'll talk about plot. We'll talk about revision in other episodes. But I just want to give you hope and faith in yourself. That you trust your instincts, trust your story, and just keep pushing on. A lot of things will work out.